We are broadcasting.
Are we ready? All right, at this time, I'd like to call the meeting to order, please.
I, Margot G.K., the town clerk of the town of Morristown, do hereby state that it is 7:31 p.m. on Tuesday, June 23rd, 2020, and that this meeting is being held remotely via webinar. Adequate notice of this meeting was provided according to law by written notice to the Morristown Daily Record, the official newspaper of the town of Morristown, and to the Newark Star Ledger, both more than 48 hours ago. Notice was also posted on the bulletin board at Town Hall and filed with the office of the town clerk of the town of Morristown. I do further state that I shall enter into the minutes of this meeting a statement that such notice was furnished as particularly described by me in this public announcement. Roll call. Councilwoman Cotton.
Present.
Councilman Elms.
Present.
Councilwoman Foster.
Here.
Councilman Iannacone.
Here.
Councilwoman Mayer.
Here.
Councilman Silva.
Present.
Council President Armington is excused this evening. So with that, I would ask Council Vice President Foster to please begin.
Thank you, Margot. At this time, I'd like to ask for a moment of silence, please. Followed while we sit and have the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of
the
the
United
States of America
and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation,
Under
under
God,
God, indivisible,
indivisible,
with
liberty
and justice for all.
for all.
Okay, thank you. Before we get started, I have a resolution at table. I had emailed it out to council previously. If you give me a second. That is a resolution authorizing the removal of hazardous overgrown vegetation on property located at 70 Wetmore Avenue, Morristown, New Jersey. I would ask for a moment to introduce that, to add that resolution to tonight's agenda as resolution number R-113-2020.
I'll make a motion to add resolution R-13-2020.
I'll second.
113.
Oh, 113, sorry.
Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Councilwoman Cotton.
Yes.
Councilman Elms.
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone.
Yes.
Councilwoman Mayer.
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Yes.
Council Vice President Foster.
Yes.
Motion carries. There are no items on the consent agenda, so we will go straight into public hearings. Remember, please be aware that public comment during the public hearing portion of the meeting will be moderated through the Zoom app. At the appropriate time, members of the public wishing to speak should indicate so by raising your hand in the app. You can find the raise your hand icon at the bottom left side of your screen. When it's your turn, the moderator will send a signal through the app and ask you to unmute yourself so that you can be heard. At that time, kindly state your name and address and limit your comments to 5 minutes or less. Be advised that any derogatory comments targeting members of council and or administration may be ruled out of order. With that, I will open the floor for a public hearing on the Morristown Partnership Special Improvement District 2020 budget.
Any members of the public wishing to be heard? Any comments in the?
Ms. Barrett, do you see any comments?
I do not see any. Oh, there's one. I apologize. Nope, the one hand went down. I don't see any public comment. No, she's Cindy. This is the public hearing on the adoption of the SID, correct?
Yes,
Right.
on the SID budget.
Okay. Cindy?
Is this the time the public just makes general comments?
No, ma'am. This is a public hearing on the adoption of the 2020 Special Improvement District budget.
Okay, I apologize.
Okay, thank you.
All right, if there are no more.
There's one more hand raised. Mr. McNally?
I think he's still muted.
Yeah.
Mr. McNally, you'll need to unmute yourself if you'd like to make a comment about the 2020 Special Improvement District budget. Mr. McNally? Mr. McNally? Council President, he was permitted to talk, but he's not responding. Would you like to move on?
Okay, yeah, at this time, we'll close the public hearing on the adoption of the 2020 SID budget.
Okay, I will now open the floor for a public hearing on any other matter.
Okay, Mr. McNally's hand is raised again. Margot, I'm having trouble allowing him to talk. Can you try from your end, please?
I don't.
Oh, here we go. All right, Mr. Herberger?
Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
Would you please state your name and address for the record?
Yes, my name is Richard Herberger. I live at 21 Community Place in Morristown. I'd like to comment on the Women's Club Beer Garden and Tashmo Bar Beer Garden and the events that happened last Thursday and Friday night. It seems the town administrator and all of the social media think this is a COVID-19 health issue. And true, in part, it is. But there are issues of law that have been overlooked. And I believe, once again, the rights of downtown residents and homeowners have been ignored. I live directly adjacent to the Women's Club parking lot. First, there is the issue of noise. The crowd Friday night, for the most part, speaking in conversational tones, could be heard 1 block away at the intersection of Community Place and Maple Avenue. I believe the noise ordinance sets a limit of 60 decibels at the property line. I doubt a crowd of 100 people could ever meet that standard. This alone warrants permanently ending this particular outdoor drinking permit and the associate Women's Club venue. By the way, there was no food served Friday night. There wasn't even a potato chip in sight. Second, I ask, why did you issue a permit to a restaurant/bar that is under construction and is not open for business? And when you say it was the original Tashmo Bar that got the permit, I say that the original operating Tashmo's Bar's occupancy limit is probably 50 to 70 people. And it has adequate outdoor room behind the bar to serve those customers without the need for the Women's Club parking lot. The third point I'd like to make is, how did the agreement between the Walsh Bar owners and the Women's Club, which by the way involved removing and replacing 8 inches of asphalt, and then the ongoing weekly rental of the parking lot, how was that not reviewed by the town? And why wasn't proper notice given to all interested parties? There must be a violation here. And shouldn't there be appropriate sanction of some sort? Finally, If the town considers reissuing this permit, it needs to specify what will happen with these permits once indoor activity is allowed. There needs to be public notice and public input before it is finalized. I thank you for your attention.
Okay, the next person on the list is Cindy. And also, Mr. McNally, if you're still listening and are able to rejoin, if you have a comment, if you would please re-raise your hand. Okay, Miss Cindy, if you would please unmute yourself and state your name and address for the record.
Am I unmuted now? Yes.
You are, we can hear you.
Thank you. My name is Cynthia Jeffrey, and I live at 27 Community Place. And I wanted to talk about the same kinds of concerns that Rich Herberger just spoke of, and a few additional comments as well. I was in my house, air conditioner running, windows closed, and not by a window. I was in the center of the house. That's how loud the music was on Friday night. It was so loud that I knew exactly what song it was and every word of the song. It was incredibly loud and a real inconvenience for neighbors at Community Place. In addition to the noise, I was very surprised that this even went on. Often when there's something going on, we get a notification or some warning about it. We knew nothing from the town or the associated parties. I too question the use of the Women's Club parking lot. I don't understand how that happened. The other thing that really concerns me, and I want the town to think about and be aware of, is the New Jersey ABC Commission has announced this COVID-19 expansion permit, which permits licensed bars to expand their licenses from the premise to outdoors. And the permit further goes on to say that it allows a bar to expand to any adjacent property, like a parking lot, I guess, or contiguous property. And also it says to non-contiguous property. And that's what drives me insane, because non-contiguous property could be, for example, for this beer garden that went on the other day, could they expand to the large parking lot across the street from Georgetown Condominiums on Community Place? Could they expand to the open thoroughfare behind 40 Park? Where else can they go if they can expand? So I hope that the town continues to think of the residents as well as the businesses when they begin to reopen. We here in the town who own homes, go to the local businesses, carried out, I should say, during the pandemic at our local businesses to support them, want the businesses to succeed, but we really want our property rights and values not to be compromised. And I thank you for your time.
Okay. Thank you, Miss Cindy. The next on the list is Lindsay Holleran. If you would unmute yourself and state your name and address for the record.
Yes, hi everyone. I hope everyone's doing well. My name is Lindsay Holleran, Lindsay Holleran. I live at 8 Flagler Street in Morristown, New Jersey. I have one question and one comment. I hear that the town is proposing for raises. How can we propose for raises during such a financially hard time during Corona? I'd also like to bring up, I don't understand how, I always thought the city planner was an independent contractor, but apparently he isn't, and he's a city employee. So how can a city employee own a consulting firm that is being used by not only the city, but by a developer? And I'd also like to bring up the violence that is still going on here in the second ward. As it was, I know that the councilwoman said the police, you know, they're going to be patrolling more and things like that. But the police tirelessly document the public disturbances on private property. And the administration has said to avoid ticketing unless necessary. Who is the administration to determine what quality of life issues are acceptable to ignore? That sounds like liberal elitism at its finest, because we all know that would not fly in other neighborhoods like Whitmore Ave and Cutler Park. They are putting Morristown's finest in a position during this time of systemic injustice and racial inequality. No one wants to see riots here again, like we had in the late 80s. Or is that part of Morristown's quote unquote master plan? Thank you. I'm done.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Holleran. The next person on the list is Matt. I will not attempt to mispronounce your name. If you will say your name and address for the record.
Yes, my name is Matt Majorossi. My wife Ann and I live at 25 Community Place. And good evening, council members. I'll just be very brief. I'd like to second all of the comments that my neighbors, Richard Herberger and Cindy Jeffrey, just mentioned. And I'd just like to make 2 additional points. We are, as you've just been told, live directly next to the building under construction, number 10, DeHart Street, as well as adjacent to the Women's Club building. During the entire construction period that's been taking just about a year, there's been only 1 porta potty or a portable toilet on site for all of the workers. And magically, 5 additional porta potties were delivered last Wednesday, Thursday. And given the summer months, I am hoping that they will be attended to, if they are to remain, that is, attended to on a daily basis. My second is that a section of the chain link fence that has been erected and has been in place for a number of years was taken down for this construction between the 10 DeHart Street building and the Women's Club. And all of the finishes, the ground finishes, have been prepped for easy access use between 10 DeHart Street. Now, I am not privy to the final planning board resolution that granted permission for the construction of 10 DeHart Street, but I was at the public meetings and nothing was ever mentioned that there would be access to the Women's Club property. As Richard and Cindy stated, there has been tremendous renovation work to that rear parking lot in excess of $50,000. And I'm just wondering who paid for that, and was there any quid pro quo involved in that transaction, donation? Don't know what we want to call it, but that needs to be looked into. Thank you for your time, and I appreciate it. Bye, and stay safe.
Thank you, Mr. Majorossi. I don't see any other hands raised. Mr. McNally, I have not seen you rejoin the meeting, but if you have joined the meeting, if you'll raise your hand and we'll entertain your comment. Otherwise, Council President, I don't see any additional hands raised.
Okay, well.
Oh, I apologize. I do see Ms. Kelly Montez. Ms. Montez, if you will unmute yourself and.
Hello? Hello,
hello?
I'm sorry, can you hear me now?
I can. Would you please state your name and address to the record?
Kelly Montez, Flagler Street here in Morristown. And I would just, you know, with all these outdoor permits being issued for already licensed liquor establishments, I was wondering if, in the spirit of helping all our local bars and restaurants, if there's maybe any type of permit that could be obtained for non-licensed establishments to maybe serve beer or wine on premises. Is that something that has been discussed? Is it something that can be looked at? And that's pretty much all I have.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Montez.
Any more comments, Jillian?
Hold on. Do not see any other hands raised as comments, Council President.
Council Vice President, before we close the public hearing, I do want to announce that there were 2 public comments received via email. They will not be read aloud, but will be made part of the written record.
Okay, thank you. All right, seeing no more hands raised or comments from members of the public at this time, I'd like to close the public hearing and move on to council responses to public hearing comments.
Toshiba?
Yes.
Toshiba, I'd just like to address the Tashmoo and the Community Place residents' concerns. I believe one of those 2 written comments was another member of the Georgetown Condominium Association, which is the homes located on Community Place. Quite honestly, this is one that got away from us. On Saturday night, I have to say, I drove around, and with the exception of this one site, I think the town's planning and the cooperation with the businesses and in the dining in downtown Morristown, I think it worked really very well. All the other establishments were abiding by the parameters which were outlined by the administration as delegated to administration by council. This one, quite frankly, just got away from us, and we're all not happy about it. No, none of us are happy about it. It was shut down on Saturday evening. If this establishment is going to be permitted to move forward with outside serving of either alcohol or food, it will have to come back to the town council acting as the ABC. That meeting will have proper notice to the community so that the community can be present at that meeting and provide input. I will also say that administration immediately responded by establishing some new rules, one of which was limiting the number of people allowed in outside dining to the capacity of the indoor establishment. One of the points that was raised by one of our neighbors. The noise was an issue. We have subsequently also made clarification that music is not allowed. I also like to say that, you know, the other establishments were operating in accordance to how planned, but that was due to a lot of effort on Jillian's and administration's part. You know, Jim Campbell, others, they reviewed these applications, and this one did get away from us. It will be, if it does come back to the ABC, it will be judged fairly, and it will be fully reviewed. And we do apologize for any imposition that was made on the community because of any oversight on behalf of either the council or administration. That's it.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other comments from council members on public hearing?
Yes, I'd like to comment. I would agree with what Bob said. I was equally outraged and quite frankly just discouraged by You know, I woke up Saturday morning, I picked my phone up, I looked at Facebook, and that was the very first picture that I saw on Facebook was this picture of the beer garden. And I just frankly found it unbelievable. You know, I know a month ago, over Memorial Day weekend, we all saw pictures from Missouri from this Lake of the Ozarks party. And, you know, I would think that something like that would not happen here, but obviously it did. And like you said, Bob, this one got away from us. So it was disappointing to say the least. And I'd like to know what kind of promotion, if we could look into any promotion, any kind of social media posts or any kind of advertising that was done for this event. I'd be interested to know if they advertised it in such a way that, you know, face masks were required and that, you know, social distancing must be observed and things of that nature.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other comments from council members? All right.
Toshiba, Jillian, can you just maybe give an update at this time as to what we're doing? And maybe you want to address the porta potties.
Well, we'll do that when, well, the administration, are you going to speak now or are you going to, do you have a
Council President, I'm going to let the business administrator take the lead on this right now. I'm going to make a comment after she's done. But I think that since enough people from Community Place took the time to come on the meeting and state their issue, let her say what she's got to say, and then I'm going to say something after she's done.
All right, so if there are no more comments from council members, I'll turn it over to Jillian Barrick, our business administrator, for a response.
So I'm going to start by reading the statement that we issued on Saturday after the weekend, and then add some additional information. So since the state began allowing outdoor dining and limited retail, the town has worked hard with our local businesses to allow them to begin serving customers and recoup financial losses from the closures needed during the ongoing public health emergency. Many of our established restaurants and retailers have worked hard to pivot their business model to comply with the state regulations and ensure the health of their patrons. Unfortunately, despite our best efforts to the contrary, not all businesses followed the guidelines and we had to shut them down, and that's referring to Tajmu. As we continue to reopen, we're entering new territory of things we've never before had to contemplate. With new things come lessons learned, and this is what we're doing to ensure that we don't have the same issues going forward. Capacity of an expansion area will be limited to the numbers of seats approved as part of a socially distanced layout. No standing patrons will be permitted. Everyone must be seated to be served. No patrons are permitted self-service alcohol unless served to go in compliance with the state's guidelines. All on-premise alcohol service must be done by wait staff to seated patrons. And capacity for any outdoor dining area or expansion will be limited to no more than the indoor capacity of the associated business. Furthermore, we remind our businesses of the following guidelines, which are outlined in the Governor's Executive Order 150, including ensuring all staff are wearing face covering and that the lines of patrons waiting for seating adhere to social distancing guidelines and do not block or otherwise impede the sidewalk. We want all of our Morristown businesses to succeed into the future, and we'll continue to do our best to support these efforts. But we must ensure the safety and welfare of our residents and visitors first, and will not tolerate any business that does not work with us to achieve that goal. So that was issued on Saturday, following a very challenging couple of days trying to resolve the issues that arose at Tajmu when they opened for outdoor dining. Their first opening was Thursday night, and we had a number of noise complaints and other complaints, particularly from the residents, the neighbors at Community Place, of which many of you heard. Following that complaint, I spoke to the manager of the bar, or the owner of the bar, both Thursday and Friday morning and throughout the day on Friday, working to resolve as many of the issues as possible that arose on Thursday night, including the noise, including the number of people, trying to ensure social distancing, reminding him of all of the various requirements that are put in place by the state's executive order, the guidance put down by the New Jersey Department of Health, as well as the Morristown guidelines. Despite my best efforts and the amount of time that was spent trying to work with the owner, they simply did not comply. and there was clear evidence of violations of numbers of policy and things in the executive order that simply put too many people at risk. The noise complaints, honestly, were a very small part of what the problems were that occurred at Tajmu. It's too many people, not enough social distancing. There was the picture that has been distributed pretty widely from social media, showed patrons standing shoulder to shoulder at a bar without any kind of mask on, which is simply unacceptable in this day and age, given the public health crisis that we are still in the midst of. So the decision was made to, one, close the bar down on Friday night at a little before 10 o'clock. And on Saturday, the decision was made to revoke their outdoor dining permission because it was clear from what occurred on Thursday and Friday that this operator was not following the social distancing guidelines, and that decision was made. And as stated in the statement, from this experience, we did make some clarifications and changes to the rules, as Bob had indicated as well. The owner has reached out to me, and they're interested in trying to come up with a new plan that complies with all of our current guidelines. Just like every other business in town that we worked very hard to allow open, we want all of Morristown's businesses to succeed. I'd like to see every restaurant not only open during this short period of time, but we want them to be sustainable into the future, which is why myself and my staff have worked extremely hard, Margot as well, and her staff in the clerk's office who manages the sidewalk permit process as well, to communicate with the businesses, to explain how the process works, to make sure that they have the documentation in, to resolve any conflicts, to ensure that their social distancing practices are in place, to ensure that their businesses comply. We are not seeking to penalize businesses at all. And I think we've bent over backwards to try to make sure that all businesses are able to comply. And of the over 40 sidewalk cafe and outdoor expansion permits that we have in place, this is the only one that was so egregiously out of line that we believed that immediate action needed to be taken. So that's where we are. But we will still continue to try to work with this business to see if they can come up with a plan that makes sense and that they're able to manage to comply with the existing guidelines in the executive order. And we'll see what happens from this point forward.
Jillian, can I just add one more thing?
Absolutely.
I just want to give kudos to Jillian because on Friday evening, I was on the phone with her and she was at the location around 5:30. She was at the location of Tajmu making sure that the owner was going to comply with all of the regulations. And obviously the owner did not. And it was, as soon as the town found out about it, it was shut down. But I just wanted to make sure that Jillian gets the recognition that she was at the location trying to work with the owner.
Thank you.
And, Veach, just along those lines, Veach, just one other thing the community members told me is the police was excellent both evenings. They were very accommodating to the residents on Community Place, and they were very happy with the way the police was responding.
Before I know the mayor wants to jump in, Bobby had asked me to comment on the porta potties. I've also worked to address that with the business owner, and we'll try to make sure that they get addressed quickly to resolve that issue as well.
Thank you.
Let Daddy do it.
All right, well, if we have nothing else from administration, Mayor, I'll turn it over to you for your comment.
Okay. Just a couple of short ones since V's jumped in and Bob pretty much touched there on everything, and Jillian gave her statements. I'm going to echo something Bob said because obviously I watch Jillian and I work with her every day. Not only did she bend over backwards, she went to every establishment in this town and made sure that every establishment had the right paperwork, had the right setup. We were out there the other day changing setups just for ADA compliance and for the Seeing Eye. It's an ongoing job of continuing to try to help our central business district stay alive. I wish I was in town Friday. It's not an excuse. I was 300 miles away. Obviously, as mayor, your phone starts blowing up, and it started blowing up. And by the time I got to reach people, the police had shut it down. I appreciate Mr. Iannacone talking about the police. They did a good job. Our chief of police went in, shut it down, and did the right thing. The comment I want to make is I want everybody to be clear. You know, we can't be in every place every minute of the day. And like Vij said, Jillian was there at 5:30 that afternoon, and it was shut down a few hours later. Let this be a notice to all the other businesses that are thinking about doing something that goes against the executive order. The governor spoke about it in his comments. There was an article that was out late last night or early this morning with a picture of Belmar and Morristown. It's not going to be tolerated in Morristown. I've spent 3 months trying to drill into the people of Morristown and people that watch Morristown to make sure you stay social distance, make sure you wear your face mask, make sure you wash your hands constantly, every single day, every day. And believe me, if we had any inclination this was going to happen, it wouldn't have happened, but we didn't. And like Mr. Iannacone and Jillian and Vij know that you had one place that caused this, and the rest of them complied. And there's a lot. There's not just a couple. There's a lot. So let this be known throughout the town that the town of Morristown, administration, council, and police are not going to tolerate going against the executive order of the governor of the state of New Jersey. It's the law until he changes it. And saying that, what I wanted to put on record, and you'll hear it over the next few days, is July 2nd is the opening of restaurants. You can have 25% patrons. That's quite a bit when you have an 800, a place that could open up to 800 or 500 or 400 or 200. You start to put bodies in restaurants and bars. The guidelines are the guidelines. They're going to be posted on the restaurant and bars, and they're going to be adhered to, and they're going to be enforced. And that's exactly what the town did. You know, if they come back in front of the council, they'll plead their case to open back up and to do the right thing. That's going to be your charge. They were given the opportunity to do the right thing, and it didn't happen. And we're all disappointed. And we're sorry that the residents had to deal with the aftermath of it. But rest assured that it wasn't something that went on for a month. This isn't going to go on past, I think we have it to Labor Day, correct?
Labor Day, correct.
Okay. That this kind of behavior wasn't going to happen week after week after week after week. It happened, was shut down. It's not going to happen again. And that should be townwide, that the town people that are going to run these establishments are knowing that this town will shut you down. And they did the right thing. And I just wanted to echo what Councilman Iannacone said. Jillian, I was going to talk about it in my mayor's section. What she did for the downtown in Morristown is superior to any work that I've ever seen since I've been mayor of an administrator, taking the bull by the horns and getting these establishments to where they can at least have some income coming in after they've been closed for so long. She did the job of 20 people and spent days and days and hours going to every business, and she should be applauded for it. And one mishap put a stain on all that work. And I just want everybody to know that all that work is not going unnoticed, Jillian. And I want to thank Mr. Iannacone for bringing it up, and let the council know that this administrator was on the ground, on the feet on the ground, boots on the ground, and was at every establishment. And kudos to you, Jillian, for helping our business district. That's it.
Thank you, Mayor.
Ditto, I agree. I was speaking with you on was it Friday, Thursday, I think, and you were, telling me about all the work that you were doing with the businesses and stopping by each one just to make sure that, everything was, up and running and situated the way it was supposed to be. And I mean, that was going into, you said you barely was able to take a lunch break, with all the phone calls that you were getting and everything. So your hard work, as the mayor said, doesn't go unnoticed. And so I myself, and I'm sure the entire council appreciates all your efforts and all the work that you do for, not only just our downtown, but for all of the residents in town. So thank you.
Yes, Jillian, I'd like you to know I think you and the mayor and the entire administration have done a great job. And Margot, I'd like the record to reflect that my comment about being disappointed was, of course, in regard to the bad apple, as it were, and not the administration. So thank you for all your work.
I agree, and the same. I know that you have worked hard with the administration, and as Mayor said, just one stain cannot cover the whole work that has been done, and nothing is perfect on earth.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to the report of the mayor.
Okay. Let's start with a few brief comments on where we at with COVID-19. We've had some days, we had a 5-day stretch with no positives, which was great. We had then we had a couple, but they were retracted. So we had 581 the other day. We're actually back down to 579. So all that hard work that they tell us to do, from the governor to the CDC to the federal government, is working by keeping your face mask on when you need it, when you're in stores, wash your hands a lot, keep your distance. As we're slowly opening up, the governor's increased it to 250 outside gathering, but keeping your distance, etc. So I'd like everybody who's watching this to spread the word. Look at our website, look at our Facebook site, look at our Instagram site. Everything is on there as far as the rules and regs on the executive order from the governor, and it needs to be followed. And that's all I'm going to say about that. I post it every day. So I wanted everybody to know that I'm not going to stop talking about it until we completely get through this. And let me be clear. We are not out of the woods on COVID-19. And I feel that people are walking around thinking that this thing is over, that we went through this all for the last 3 months. It is not over. It is spiking all over this country. All over the country. In places that are just going to Arizona hospitals. From Bob, I'm sure Mr. Anacone is well aware of what's going on throughout the country in the hospital world. And it is not something that has gone away. There's no vaccine. There's only practicing the principles of what they're telling us to do, which is keep your distance, keep your mask on when you can, and wash your hands a lot. And when you don't feel good, don't go out. Let me talk about some positive things that are happening in Morristown. We start with the planning board moved the M station for a resolution that will be voted on Thursday night. I also want to talk about some businesses. In the middle of this COVID and this pandemic, there's a new restaurant opening up on Elm Street called Bistro 46. It will be open at 11:30 tomorrow for lunch. I was in I wasn't here for the soft opening Saturday morning, but I stopped in and brought everybody in the administration a juice or a smoothie from Clean Juice, where David Tyree is our newest business owner on South Street. We went in the other day. It was Sunday. It was packed. It was a lot of people. It's a great addition. So it's another business that's opening up in Morristown. A couple doors down from that, another business is opening up in Morristown. It's called Low Key to Cafe. So things are happening. Things are happening here. I also want everybody to remember that Saturday, 27th, the pools were open, right, Jillian?
Yes.
Okay, so the pools will be open the 27th. There's some communities that are not there. We are there, and that's a testament to our recreation and our administration pulling it together and getting the pools ready to open before a lot of communities. So kudos to our recreation department and the administration and all the people that put that together to make that happen. And some camps are coming together too, right, Jillian?
Correct.
When are the camps?
The camps start July 6th, and I believe registration, if it's not open now, it'll be open on Monday. And we're only opening the full-day camp at Caldwell and the half-day camp at Elliott Street.
But we're doing something. You know,
Yes.
we're doing something, and we're not just saying, oh, it's too hard, it's too much. So we are making things happen, and that takes a team to do that, and I appreciate all the people that are involved in that. Remember, July 2nd, restaurants are open inside, 25%. So, those who feel like they're ready to go into a restaurant, they'll be able to accommodate 25% of their capacity, and it will be monitored by the fire department and police department. Am I correct, Jillian?
Correct.
Also, I want to actually publicly thank Seeing Eye and Walt. If you see Walt walking around, he's one of the lead guys. He's always training the dogs. He brought to our attention some issues on dealing with how a blind person would navigate through some of our tables and the way the restaurants have set up. And we've made those changes based on him reaching out and talking to us, and Mike Cochran getting in touch with the top guy at the Seeing Eye, and then getting in touch with Walt, who's on the ground here. And we appreciate it. Mike, Jillian, and myself were out there navigating through that, and I think it's the restaurants worked with us, and it's been really good. I think that's probably about it. I'm probably missing a couple of things. Just really, I can't. Playgrounds are opening when, Jillian?
The state announced today that the playgrounds are permitted to open July 2nd, although they are issuing guidance that's forthcoming. So
Right.
we'll keep everyone posted.
Right. So that's another thing. You have to pay attention to the guidance. We'll get it out. It'll be on the website. It'll be on the Facebook, Instagram. We'll get it out to all the council members to get it out to their email chains for the do's and don'ts for these different executive orders that as we open up the state. Again, let me thank the governor. We thanked him today. He is opening up slow. A lot of people wanted to open it quicker, but I think he's doing the right thing. I did get my hair cut. As you see, I was going to try to let it go a couple more months, but I think it was probably best I got it cut. I liked it the other way, but my son is getting married Sunday, so I thought it would be appropriate that I get my hair cut now, and it'll look a little bit better. But it's interesting watching all the different ways that COVID-19 is affecting lives. Just talking to a business owner today with getting my hair cut, how difficult it is to reopen. And people don't come back to work. Restaurants are telling me they can't get workers to come back. It's difficult. It was difficult for them to be shut down for all these months. And now it's also difficult for them to start operating with very little staff. So again, thank you, Jillian. I know that the council will deal with how that next expansion will come, or how it's going to be set up for Tajmu, and appreciate your time. And of course, the legal guidance from our legal department is always key. So we appreciate that, and I appreciate everything everybody's doing. Thank you.
Council President, I do have a quick announcement before we move on.
Sure.
All right. Yes, I have two things. I have an addendum to the pools opening, and we are still hiring for staff at the pools, lifeguards and monitors and other staff. Information is available on the town's website. And then the second thing, we are doing our first virtual public meeting on the design of the open space at Speedwell redevelopment area. It will be tomorrow evening at 6:30 and via Zoom. The Zoom login information and the flyers available on the town's website. We've been working hard with our landscape architect to come up with two options to present to the public for discussion. We've had a couple of stakeholder meetings to go over the designs. I think they're fantastic, and we're looking forward to sharing them with the public and getting everyone's feedback. So if you're available, the information is on the website and was also sent via our email list.
And one other thing, Council President, you'll notice if you go down Speedwell Avenue, you will see fencing up between 1776 and Headquarters Plaza. They have started construction on Pioneers Plaza, that empty, vast space of concrete that's been out there for decades upon decades. So when you see those barriers up enclosed, is there started construction on that open space, which is going to be much improved so people can use it, we can program it, people can have events there, we can do all kinds of things there. So it's going to be great, and we're happy that that has started, and that's been a long time coming. It takes a long time to get these things done, and appreciate again everybody that helped with that. I think that's it, right, Jillian?
That's all I got. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you both. Okay, at this time, we'll move on to council liaison reports.
With reference to the partnership, later this evening, we're actually looking at a resolution approving the budget for the Special Improvement District, which is the Morristown Partnership. The budget this year is $1.26 million. Just by way of information, the majority, a little bit more than half the funds are actually raised by an assessment, which is 0.1% of the value of the property and the improvements on the land. There is a slight deficit being budgeted, but that deficit will be made up once the CARE Act's money are converted into a grant. Partnership is cooperating with the reopening and a lot of support to the businesses. The farmers market did reopen successfully, and that is going to be occurring every Sunday morning. And again, in joining with thanking Jillian, I'd also like to thank Jen for her assistance with the businesses and getting them restarted.
Thank you.
On the Morris Housing Authority, last night was a meeting. I just want to highlight 3 very important things. The first one is that last night was introduced a public session guide to organize the meetings and to have the public participate in an orderly manner. The purpose of the public participation guide is to provide residents and interest people with the opportunity to comment on issues or topics that are with the purview of the MHA board and commissioners. The meeting is open to the public, is accessible to individuals even with disabilities, but in some meetings we're getting out of hand, so that was introduced. That's a good thing because it will be maximizing the time and the effort of the commissioners and the people that lead the meeting, Mr. Kennard. The second thing is was the situation of people coming to Mayhem Village and set off fireworks. Ms. Cotton told me about that. I went and investigated a little further. And the fact that only one person made a phone call to the police, it was something not good, which we spoke with Ms. Cotton because some residents abstain from calling police fearing retaliation. They don't know or that the MPD have an anonymous process where the residents do not have to identify themselves. And I'm talking especially about Hispanic community. I know very well the Hispanic community, and I know that sometimes they are afraid of reporting things like that. Ms. Cotton and I are going to be working with the MHA to help Hispanic residents to know what are the things that they ought to do, what they can do in order to help their own community at that part. And the third, and actually this will serve also to answer to Lindsay, Mr. Kennard has been working with Director Corcoran and Acting Chief Richardson over the past year and a half to address the illegal activities, especially at Mayhem Village. There has been a significant surge in complaints from residents due to the post-COVID-19 and the fact that the warm weather is here. And as a result, Mr. Kinnard, Director Corcoran, and Chief Richardson will be meeting to devise a plan of action, including a police presence at the Sally Residence Center. And finally, this is an addition, on behalf of MHA, they want to thank the council for the unanimous support in approving the resolution of need for the RID program, because that will help, especially to preserve and to restore those senior citizen housing and the Menahan Village, helping also to improve the properties with the $1 million backlog on deferred maintenance. So helping this way, I think, is a great thing, and that's all that I have from me.
Thank you. The Morristown Parking Authority met on June 16th. Nothing much to report other than they're continuously working with the town and the partnership on the outdoor and curbside pickup. And just a reminder that enforcement, it has restarted.
The Shade Tree Commission voted to approve the planting of holly trees at the end of Crestwood Dead End. This is to deter trespassing and dumping at that location. It was noted that someone might have vandalized some trees on Grant Street. Hopefully the trees that provide shade to the residents of that street and are important to the environment will survive the potential vandalism. An Arbor Day celebration is still being decided on, all dependent on the state and governor's executive orders. The Shade Tree Commission published a tree identification book for everyone to use. It's on the town website. I do want to say thank you to Rich Wolowitz, the town arborist, and Kristen Ace for their work on it. It was not easy to put together, to walk around town and identify locations of all the trees. So when people are taking walks in this day and age, they can identify trees and understand a little bit about how they're planted and why they're planted. And the last thing is the town has installed biochar in the tree wells, and we're continuing with the spring planting of new trees.
Council President?
Yes.
I just want to make a quick announcement. Tomorrow at 1:30, the police chief and the director will be meeting with Keith Kinnard at 1:30 to discuss the substation and other initiatives. I just wanted to get confirmation on that, and I did. So thank you, Councilman Silva, and that should be a really interesting meeting.
Oh, I just want to add one thing. I did receive a flyer and was asked to disseminate information to community members that the Black Lives Matter Morristown and Wind of the Spirit is going to be presenting a Morristown Takes March on Washington. The flyer reads, "Please join us as we journey off to Washington, D.C. to celebrate the 57th anniversary of the March on Washington during these unprecedented times. Friday, August 28th. The tickets are $40 and includes round trip bus fare. They have a Cash App that you can submit payment to. It's $BLM Morristown via Cash App. The bus is going to be leaving approximately 5 a.m., returning approximately 12 a.m. Trying to find their website because they don't really have the specifications here in terms of where they're leaving from. But they do have some sponsorships that they're offering for anybody who has a financial hardship that would also like to go. You can contact them. I'll send the information in a flyer to the clerk, and I'll just ask that you disseminate it to council members, and if the administration can post it once I have the confirmation email or contact information, you can put that out there on a post as well. Flyer doesn't include that information, unfortunately.
I would just like to say as a reminder that the Environmental Commission will be meeting, they'll have their first Zoom meeting in July, which is the first Tuesday, and every first Tuesday of every month after.
All right, if there are no other comments from council members, there are no other reports or updates. We'll move on to regular business.
Okay, we have 3 ordinances for introduction this evening. Ordinance number O-21-2020, an ordinance of the town of Morristown and the county of Morris, state of New Jersey for compensation for management/non-union positions in the town of Morristown, New Jersey, and amending all ordinances concerning such compensation heretofore adopted. May I have a motion to introduce?
I'd like to make a motion to introduce ordinance number 21-2020.
Second.
Any comments or questions from members of the council? Okay. On the introduction of O-21-2020, Councilwoman Cotton.
Yes.
Councilman Elms.
Yes.
Councilman Iannaccone.
Yes.
Councilwoman Mayer.
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Yes.
Council Vice President Foster.
Yes.
Ordinance 21-2020 has been introduced properly by title and will be considered further after a public hearing to be held on July 14th. Ordinance number O-22-2020, an ordinance of the town of Morristown and the county of Morris, state of New Jersey for compensation for the elected mayor, town council members, and council president in the town of Morristown, New Jersey, and amending all ordinances concerning such compensation heretofore adopted. May I have a motion to introduce?
I'll make a motion to introduce ordinance number O-22-2020.
I'll
Second.
second it.
Any comments or questions from council?
Just one comment. I just want to make it known to the public that in this resolution, there is no increase from the amount that was budgeted in 2019.
Thank you. Okay, on the introduction of O-22-2020, Councilwoman Cotton.
Yes.
Councilman Elms.
Yes.
Councilman Iannaccone.
Yes.
Councilwoman Mayer.
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Yes.
Council Vice President Foster.
Yes.
Ordinance O-22-2020 has been properly introduced by title and will be considered further after a public hearing to be held on July 14th. Ordinance number O-23-2020, bond ordinance providing for various capital improvements in and by the town of Morristown and the county of Morris, New Jersey, appropriating $2,234,400 therefore, and authorizing the issue of $2,128,000 bonds or notes of the town to finance part of the cost thereof.
Council members, if I can just make a quick comment. The capital ordinance before you is almost identical to the capital plan that was in the budget binders that you got. The only difference is we did, as discussed in the budget hearing, the funding for the tree planting was originally reduced by half from $30,000 to $15,000. In the capital ordinance, we've restored that to the full level of $30,000. Everything else is the same.
Jillian, the bond financing was also built into the budget?
Yes.
Did the rate actually help or hurt the budget?
We haven't, once the bond ordinance is approved, then we'll sell short-term notes. That'll come after the bond ordinance is approved.
Okay.
I will say that the last set of notes that we sold for the sewer, we got extremely good rates. It was like 0.6 or 0.7%. It was very, very good.
Good.
On the introduction of O-23-2020, I'm sorry, may I have a motion to introduce?
I'll make a motion to use ordinance number O-23-2020.
Second?
Second.
I'm sorry, second?
I'll second.
Thank you. On the introduction of ordinance 23-2020, Councilwoman Cotton.
Yes.
Councilman Elms.
Yes.
Councilman Iannaccone.
Yes.
Councilman Mayer.
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Yes.
Council Vice President Foster.
Yes.
Ordinance 23-2020 has been introduced properly by title and will be considered further after a public hearing to be held on July 14th. We have no ordinances for adoption, and with the addition of resolution R-113-2020, we have 10 resolutions for approval. Unless a member of council would like to put one or more for separate consideration, I would ask for a motion to adopt 104-2020 through 113-2020 en masse.
I'll make a motion to adopt those resolutions in mass.
I'll second it.
Okay. On the adoption of resolutions 104-2020 through 113-2020, Councilwoman Cotton.
Yes.
Councilman Elms.
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone.
Yes.
Councilman Mayor.
Yes.
Councilman Silver.
Yes.
Council Vice President Foster.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, we have no unfinished or old business. We have no new business. So if there are no more comments from council members, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. All in favor? Second, all in favor?
Opposed? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Not at all.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you all.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you.